squirrel is usually cute, fluffy tail, a nut in the paws, a keepsake photo, and now the reality. Belka is a forest logistician, the gardener, and in some places even a soil engineer. Remove the squirrels and the forest will start to change, not from above and from below, from seeds, from mushrooms, from what will sprout at all. Now I'll show you 10 functions and one effect that almost everyone misses. The preface: squirrels survive by using the collected today, found tomorrow strategy. They're making supplies. They often scatter them around the territory, hiding one or more of them. This is called scatter hoarding, scattered hoarding, and this habit is their main ecology. Go. 10 functions of proteins in nature with detailed analysis. 1. Seed distribution and sowing of the future forest squirrels hide nuts, acorns, and seeds. Some of the inventory is not returned to the warehouse, and these seeds get a chance to germinate. This is one of the key functions of scatter hoarding animals in ecosystems. The mechanics are simple. A squirrel is not a gardener by intention, but a gardener by effect. 2. Acceleration of forest restoration after violations. After a windfall, logging, or fire, one thing is important. Who will be the first to bring seeds to the empty windows? Squirrels do this all the time because they are constantly hiding food, and the forest starts up faster. 3. Regulation of which trees will dominate. Squirrels are not indifferent to food. They choose what to carry, what to hide, what to eat at once. And plants, especially those that depend on scatter hoarding, evolutionarily adapt to this game. Bottom line, proteins indirectly affect the composition of the forest. 4. The spread of mycorrhizal fungal spores. It's not obvious, but it's powerful. Many small mammals, including squirrels, eat underground mushrooms such as truffles, and then they spread the spores with droppings. This is how mushrooms get transport. And mycorrhiza is a union of mushroom plus tree roots that helps trees get water and minerals. That is, proteins help not only the seeds, but also the infrastructure of the forest. 5. Bioturbation, loosening and mixing of soil. When an animal digs, it changes the soil. Searching and digging for stalks, mushroom mining is a mini shrew. Reviews about mycophagy emphasize that digging up underground fungi is associated with soil agitation/aeration and the effect on organic matter. It's not like a bore, but it is noticeable on the scale of populations. 6. Squirrel as an important prey for predators. Proteins are the energy bar of the forest. They are regularly harvested by birds of prey, owls, hawks, etc. And this is well described by the remains found. That is, protein is an important part of predator nutrition. 7. Regulation of insects and small invertebrates. Squirrels are not pure vegans. They can eat insects and other animal food, especially when it is beneficial. The effect is not the same as that of a thrush, but in times of shortage of plant foods, this is a real channel of energy. 8. Competitors who redistribute resources. Squirrels compete for seeds and nuts with birds and other mammals. This affects who gets the fuel of the season, and competition is also a function of the system. She distributes resources and pressure. 9. Engineers of micro-shelters through nest construction. Tree squirrels build nests, or dray. It's not just a house. This is a warm spot in the crown that can be used by other organisms later, indirectly through the structure. This is a typical effect of shelter builders in animals. 10. Impact on the forest through bark damage. Important clarification. In some species and in some regions, proteins peel off the bark, reaching the tissues beneath it. The most discussed example is gray squirrels in the UK, where bark stripping is considered a serious problem for young forests. This is not a function for the sake of goodness, but this is a real factor that changes the structure of the forest where it manifests itself. One unexpected effect that is often overlooked: the squirrel does a double trick. She doesn't just plant trees for getting the nuts. It also helps the forest to turn on the mushroom network. The seed is the start, but for a tree to really grow, it needs the support of the environment. and mycorrhizal fungi are one of the main helpers. And now the squirrel turns out to be not just a gardener, and a gardener who also brings the micro-engineers of the forest. 10 unusual facts about squirrels with detailed analysis. 1. The squirrel is a whole family, not just one species. Squirrels include tree squirrels, ground squirrels, chipmunks, and flying squirrels. When we say protein function, it is important to understand the scale of the group. 2. Scatter hoarding is a real strategy with evolution on both sides. Plants are not passive. There is evidence that plants that depend on scatter hoarding have strategies that increase the success of such dispersal. That is, it is a game of squirrel trees for millions of years. 3. Squirrels eat underground fungi and spread spores. It looks strange, squirrel and truffle, but this is the described mechanism, eating arrow-transferring spores through droppings. 4. The role of keystone in some squirrels. For some species, for example in flying squirrels in some systems, the role of mycorrhizal fungi as extremely important carriers of spores is discussed. 5. Digging for mushrooms is also about the soil. The reviews indicate a connection between excavation and aeration and decomposition of organic matter. 6. Proteins are actually included in the diet of many birds of prey. It's not sometimes. It can be seen from the remains in the stories and observations. Squirrels are regular prey for a number of predators. 7. Harm to the bark is not a myth, but regionally. In Britain, gray squirrels are recognized as a problem due to bark stripping and damage to young trees. This is being documented and studied. 8. Proteins are not pure vegetarians. They can be food opportunists, insects, etc., which changes their role in food webs. 9. Squirrels affect birds not only by competition. There are studies that examine the influence of gray squirrels on bird communities through various mechanisms, including indirect effects. 10. Squirrels' main superpower is not jumping and memory plus stock strategy. It is a behavioral survival technology that scales to the ecosystem through scatter hoarding. Conclusion. A squirrel is not just a fluffy, it is a seed disperser, forest restoration accelerator, transportation of fungal spores, and an important prey for predators. Remove the squirrels and the forest will begin to change quietly, but systematically. If it was useful, subscribe. Here we analyze the animals so that it becomes clear who really keeps nature in working order. And write in the comments. What surprised me more was that squirrels plant trees through stalks, or that they also spread fungal spores, helping the forest from the inside.